Welcome to your maths lessons for Friday the 8th of January. Today we're going to be looking at ordering fractions, decimals and percentages. You can see the steps to success on the screen there. First of all, we need to convert a fraction so that it's out of 100 to create a percentage. We're going to multiply a two-digit decimal number by 100 to create a percentage. If you already have a percentage, you keep it the same. And then you're going to compare the values and then put the original fractions, decimal, percentages in order. Hopefully that will all become a little bit clearer as we go through the video. But let's have a look at how we start by converting fractions to percentages. We already know that percent means out of 100. However, since not all fractions have a denominator of 100, it means you have to convert the fraction into one that does. The numerator then shows us the percentage amount. So let's have a look at this fraction here, 12 over 25. What would that be as a percentage? Right, in order to show what that would look like as a percentage, we first need to do some conversion. So let's write our original fraction out here, 12 over 25. Now, we know that in order to do a direct comparison with a percentage, we need to get our denominator up to 100. So we know we need to make that 100. Now, how do we go about doing that? Well, I think we've looked at this a couple of times already this week, but if we do our 25 times tables, I know that 25, add 25 will give me 50, add another 25 would give me 75, and add another 25, will give me 100. So I know that 25 fits into 100 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So I'm effectively multiplying that number by 4. Now remember, whatever you do to the denominator, you must do exactly the same to the numerator. So I'm going to multiply 12 by 4. Well, let's write out our 12 times tables again, just so that we are clear on what that works out as. So we've got 12, 24, 36, and 48. So 12 times 4 will give me 48 over 100. So now I'm going to go back to my original fraction and write my answer. So my original fraction was 12 over 25. As a percentage, I know it works out at 48 over 100. Now remember, we know that over 100 is exactly the same as saying out of 100. And we also know that percent means out of 100. So we literally then take our numerator and put the percentage sign on the end. And so we know our answer is 12 over 25 equals 48%. Another method we can use is to divide our numerator by our denominator. So remember yesterday we wrote out our bus stops and then we put our numerator inside the bus stop. Our denominator was outside the bus stop, because effectively what we've got here on this fraction is 1 divided by 8, which is what we're showing over on this side here. So 1 divided by 8, well, let's have a look. How many times does 8 go into 1? Well, it doesn't, because it's too big. So I need to put my decimal point in there, and now I'm going to go into a tenths column. So I need to put a placeholder in here to show that I have got nothing at the moment in my tenths column. Then I'm going to exchange my original 1 so that I have now got a number of 10. How many times does 8 fit into 10? Well, we know it goes in once, and there will be 2 left over. But I need to show what I'm going to be doing with those 2. So I'm going to again put in another placeholder, and then I'm going to exchange that 2 that are left so that they're in my hundredths column now. How many times does 8 fit into 20? Well, I know that 2 times 8 is 16, and so 3 times 8 is 24. So it can only fit in twice. And there will be some left over. Well, what's the difference? Let me just extend that out. What is the difference between 16 and 20? Well, there are 4 left over. So I'm going to put a placeholder in my thousandths column, and then I'm going to add my 4 that are left over onto that placeholder. So I'm now trying to fit 8 into 40. Well, I'm not so confident on that. So let's have a little think about how many times 8 goes into 40. I'm going to write out my 8 times table. 8, 16, 24, 32, and 40. Right, so I know that 8 goes into 40 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So I can write my answer up the top. So 1 divided by 8 equals 0.125. Now, I've now got a decimal number, but I haven't got my percentage yet. So I need to do something else with this number. I need to take my 0.125 and I'm going to write out my place value columns above it, just so that I can see exactly what I'm dealing with. So I've got my tens column, I've got my ones column, there's my decimal point, I've got my tenths, I've got my hundredths, and here I've got my thousandths column. Now remember, whenever we are multiplying a decimal number, we need to move the numbers across on place values, however many spaces that we're multiplying it by. So generally, when we are going to find a percentage from a decimal point, we take our decimal number and we're going to multiply it by 100. So that means this 1 is going to move 1, 2 place value columns. So that 1 now becomes not 1/10 anymore, it becomes 1/10. My 2 hundredths will move 1, 2 place value columns. And so rather than it being 2 hundredths now, it's now 2 ones. My decimal point will remain in line with the other decimal points. And now I need to look at my 5 thousandths. That will also move 1, 2 place value columns. So my 5 thousandths becomes 5 tenths. So I now know that 0.125 times 100 equals 12.5. Now, if I'm going to show that as a percentage, I simply take my 12.5 and put the percentage symbol after it. The next thing we need to look at is just confirm what we've just done in terms of converting decimals to percentages. You simply multiply a decimal number by 100. So what is 0.67 as a percentage? Well, if I were to take my number 0.67 and again just recap what we did earlier, I'm going to write my place value columns in at the top just so that we're really clear on what we're doing to each of the numbers. So I've got my tens, my ones, I've got my tenths and my hundredths. So if I'm going to multiply them by 100, again, I've got 2 zeros on there. That tells me how many place values the numbers are going to be moving. So they're going to be moving to the left. So I know that that 6 is going to make one jump to the ones column, and then another jump over here to the tens column. And so I'm going to have not 6 tens anymore, but 6 tenths. The 7 hundredths, they're here, again, are going to make one jump to the tenths column, and then one more jump to the ones column, and they're going to end up there in that ones column. So I've got 67. There are no other digits on this side, so there are no digits that need placing in the tenths or the hundredths. I don't need to show my decimal point either. So to confirm what we've just done, 0.67 multiplied by 100 equals 67. That is now out of 100, so it becomes 67%. So what we'd like you to do now is to convert some mixed numbers so that they're all showing as percentages, and then put them into ascending order. Well, the first thing you need to think about is, what does ascending mean? Well, we have two terms that we normally use in maths to mean going up and going down. Ascending means to go up, and descending means to go down. So we are trying to make sure our numbers here go up in order. So they're going to start with the smallest to largest. Okay, so when we are writing our answers out, we should have the smallest on this side, and we are going to move across to the largest on this side. So let's have a look at the numbers that we're going to be converting. So let's have a look here with 0.7. Now it's always useful to put them in the same kind of answer. So we want to make sure that all the answers are either in decimals, fractions, or percentages. Well, really what we've been doing is looking at how we convert everything into percentages. So let's begin by making them into percentages. So 0.7. Now what do I do to a decimal number in order to convert it into a percentage? Remember we said earlier, anything like that we multiply by 100. So that means my 7 at the moment is shown as 7 tenths. If I'm going to multiply it by 100, I know that I've got two place values that it needs to move along. So that 7 will move from the 7 tenths into 7 ones and become 7 tens. Now I can't just leave it as a 7. I need to show that there are no ones behind it. So I know it's going to become 70. So 0.7 will be 70. And I know that's out of 100, so it becomes 70%. My next one is 67%. Well, that's already in a percentage. I don't need to convert that, so that's already showing as 67%. 2/5 though, I might need to convert because I'm not quite sure what that means. So 2/5, if I write that out here, remember we need to make sure that denominator is showing over 100. Now to do that, that fifths, how many times does 5 go into 100? Well, we've done this a few times already this week. I know that that goes 20 times. So remember, whatever we do to the denominator, we must do to the numerator. So a number at the top, I also need to multiply by 20. So 20 times 2 is 40. So 2/5 becomes 40%. And my final one here is this 99. Oh, sorry, 0.99, I should say. Now, remember what we've just done this on the last screen. So if I've got a decimal number, 0.99, I need to multiply that by 100. Now again, I've got 2 zeros on there, which means that the digits in 0.99 are going to move 2 place values to the left. So this one at the moment is in my tenths column. I know it's then going to move into my ones column, and then afterwards it's going to move into my tens column. So that first 9 is going to make 1, 2 jumps into my tens column. The second 9 here in my hundredths column is also going to make 1, 2 jumps and end up in my ones column. So it's going to become 99. And remember, 99 is, we know that it's definitely out of 100, so it becomes 99%. Now what I need to do is go back to my original fractions, and I need to answer the question because it said to put these fractions and these decimals and these percentages in order, not the answers. So let's have a look along the line and think about which is my smallest number that I'm going to be dealing with. Well, it's this one here, 40%, isn't it? 40% is smaller than 99, it's smaller than 67, and it's smaller than 70%. So my smallest is 2/5. My next smallest, if I have a look along the line, is this one, 67%. My next smallest is this one. It's 70%, but I want to include the original number, which was 0.7. And that means my last one is this one here, 0.99. And now I've ordered those original numbers in ascending order from smallest to largest. So what we'd like you to do today is have a look at the home learning for today and have a go at ordering these fractions, decimals and percentages. Now, it's broken up into 2 sections on the home learning sheet. Have a look at the first one first. This one here, we are just going to say whether the numbers are greater than, less than, or equal to. So you need to put that in this circle here. So is 64% larger, smaller, or the same as 46%? So you're going to need to do some conversion in order to work that one out. This one over here, number 2, says to draw arrows and estimate the position of the fractions, decimals, and percentages on the number lines. So you're going to need to say, where does 9% belong on this number line here? And if you think, for example, it belongs here, you're going to need to just draw an arrow and put 9% on the arrow. This one down here, number 3, you're going to write the fractions, decimals, and percentage in ascending order. So it's just like we've done on the previous slide. There's A, B, and C there. And then there's some questions. Which was the easiest to order and why? What set was most difficult to order and why? And then compare your answers, if you can, with somebody else. Did you have anything that was the same or anything that was different? If you complete that one, we've got an extension task for you to do. So it's a bit more of a SAT questioning, something you might see in an assessment paper. And it's got a question on there that says 0.25 is smaller than 2/5. Can you explain why Adam is correct? Then there's some more ordering tables of fractions, decimals, and percentages. And then, again, one last task of asking you to order those numbers in size, starting from the smallest. Good luck. See you all later.